Welcome back. This is Brittany with SeedSoilWater, and we are learning how to break the habit of being our old broken self so that we can be new, happy, healed, fun, joyful, healthy. Emphasis on the healthy selves. Okay, emotions to moods to temperaments to personality traits. Holler. I feel like there was a time where I went through it so much that I started becoming a different person. And I feel like I'm back to who my divine self, like the core of the happy person that I used to be. So this is really possible. Like you can get back to being, and if you were never the happy person, you can figure out how to become the happy person if you want to. Conditioning the body to live in the past. Unfortunately, for most of us, because the brain always works by repetition and association, it doesn't take a major trauma to produce the effect of the body becoming the mind. The most minor triggers can produce emotional responses that feel as though they are beyond our control. For instance, if you're driving to work and you stop at your usual coffee shop, which is all out of your favorite hazelnut coffee, how did they know? I didn't even know we were going to talk about coffee. Disappointed, you grumble to yourself why a major enterprise like this can't keep in stock such a very popular flavor. At work, you're irritated to see another car in your preferred parking spot. Stepping into an empty elevator, you are exacerbated to discover that someone ahead of you pushed all the buttons. When you finally, okay, comment below if you're the one that pushed all the buttons. When you finally walk into the office, someone comments, "What's up? You seem kind of down." You tell your story, and the person sympathizes. You sum it up. "I'm in a bad mood. I'll get over it." But the thing is, you don't. A mood is a chemical state of being, generally short term, that is an expression of a prolonged emotional reaction. Something in your environment, in this case, the failure of your barista to meet your needs, followed by a few other minor annoyances, sets off an emotional response. The chemicals of that emotion don't get used up instantly, so their effect lingers for a while. I call that the refractory period, the time after their initial release and until the effect diminishes. So I call that being doused in stress hormones. The longer the refractory period, obviously, the longer you experience those feelings. When the chemical refractory period of an emotional reaction lasts for hours to days, that's a mood. What happens when that recently triggered mood lingers? You've been in a bit of a funk since that day, and now you look around the room during a staff meeting and all you think of is that person's tie is hideous and the nasally tone of your boss is worse than nails on a chalkboard. At this point, you're not just in a mood, you're reflecting a temperament, a tendency toward the habitual expression of an emotion through certain behaviors. A temperament is an emotional reaction with a refractory period that lasts from weeks to months. Eventually, if you keep the refractory period of an emotion going for months and years, that tendency turns into a personality trait. And at that point, others will describe you as bitter or resentful or angry or judgmental. Our personality traits then are frequently based in our past emotions. Most of the time, personality, how we think, act, and feel, is anchored in the past. So, to change our personalities, we have to change the emotions that we've memorized and we have to move out of the past. Dun, da, da, da. Okay, look at the picture if you are somebody who's just listening and you want to see. So, here's the different states of being. There's this experience, if it's a mood for hours to days, it's a temperament for weeks to months, and it's a personality trait for years. And that's the refractory period, length of emotional reaction. Okay. We can't change when living in the predictable future. There is yet another way that we get stuck and keep ourselves from changing. We may also train the body to be the mind in order to live in a predictable future based on the memory of the known past. This was huge. This is a huge thing to get over when you've been betrayed because it feels like safety and it feels like responsibility to transfer that experience on everything in the future. But not everybody is the perpetuator of that experience, and therefore now it's not in alignment with reality or what could be. All the good things could be miscolored by the bad thing in the past. So anyway, if we do this, pretty much saying if we live in the past, if we color the future based on the past, we miss the precious now moment again. As you know, we can condition the body to live in the future. Of course, that can be a means to change our lives for the better. When we make a conscious choice to focus on a desired new experience, as my daughter did when she created her summer job in Italy. By the way, we have a whole series reading this book. So click on the series button. It should be in the description box. Save that to your playlist so that you can easily find these again. And after this video, finish the whole video, then go back to the beginning and watch the series from the beginning because it's really good. As her story demonstrates, if we focus on an intended future event and then plan how we will prepare or behave, there will be a moment when we are so clear and focused on that possible future that the thoughts we are thinking will begin to become the experience itself. Once the thought becomes the experience, its end product is an emotion. When we begin to experience the emotion of that event ahead of its possible occurrence, the body, as the unconscious mind, begins to respond as though the event is actually unfolding. On the other hand, what happens if we begin to anticipate some unwanted future experience or even obsess about a worst case scenario based on a memory from our past? We are still programming the body to experience a future event before it occurs. But now the body is no longer in the moment or in the past. It's living in the future, but a future based on some construct of the past. When this occurs, the body does not know the difference between the actual event transpiring in reality and what we are entertaining mentally. Because we are priming it to be juiced up for whatever we think might be coming, the body begins to get ready. And in a very real way, the body is in the event. Here's an example of living in the future based on the past. Imagine that you've been asked to give a lecture in front of 350 people, but you fear being on stage based on memories of previous public speaking disasters from your distant past. Whatever you think about the coming talk, you envision yourself standing there stammering and losing your train of thought. Your body begins to respond as if the future event is unfolding now. Your shoulders tense, your heart races, and you perspire heavily, sweat. As you anticipate that dreaded day, you cause your body to already be living in that stressful reality. Caught up in and obsessed with the possibility of failing again, you are so intent on that expected reality that you can't concentrate on anything else. Your mind and body are polarized, moving from the past to the future and back again. As a result, you deny yourself the novelty of a wonderful future outcome. As a more universal example of living in a predictable future, let's say that for many years you wake up to each new day only to slide automatically into the same old set of unconscious actions. The body is so used to anticipating performing your daily behaviors that it goes almost mechanically from one task to the next. There's feeding the dog, brushing your teeth, putting your clothes on, making tea, taking the garbage out, getting the mail. You get the idea. Although you may wake up with a thought to do something different, somehow you find yourself doing those same old things as if you are just along for the ride. After you've memorized these types of actions for a decade or two, your body has been trained to continuously look forward to doing these things. In fact, it's been subconsciously programmed to live in the future and thus allow you to go to sleep behind the wheel. We could even say that you're no longer even driving the car. Now your body cannot exist in the present moment. It is primed to control you by running a host of unconscious programs while you sit back and allow it to head toward some humdrum known destiny. Overcoming your nearly automatic habits and no longer anticipating the future requires the ability to live greater than time. More on that to come. Okay, I'm going to leave this here. Be blessed, be well, be free. I just lost all my recordings. That made me highly nervous. I'm probably living in the past right now. Okay. Hello.